If you've noticed that you're very emotional when you're trading, so either you're feeling really anxious, nervous, maybe even very high and euphoric when you have a winning trade, and it's this constant like up and down, this boom and bust of emotions, and you feel like these emotions are getting in the way of you following your trading plan, then it's likely due to unhelpful thinking habits that you have developed. In this video, I'm going to explain the common unhelpful thinking habits that we have as humans and how it can be impacting your trading, as well as how we can manage and respond to these. On screen, I have a list of the most common unhelpful thinking habits that we have as humans. And so we can all relate to these at one time or another. And there might be some that feel more familiar than others, and some might feel like quite similar to each other. In this video, I'm going to explain how they can manifest themselves in trading, giving trading specific examples as well as more helpful alternatives to those. But first, let me go back and think about thoughts and what they are. So, thoughts can be seen as that constant chatter that we have going through our mind as we're going about our day. So, it's those words that pop in and they're very automatic, they're involuntary, and they're personal to us and the situation at the time. Our thoughts can be positive, they might be negative, or they might be neutral. But the key thing here is that they are not objective truths, they are just thoughts. So it's this idea that thoughts are not facts and therefore they can be challenged. So this video is designed for you to raise your awareness of thoughts, to be able to identify and label unhelpful thinking patterns, which gives you the opportunity to distance yourself from the thoughts or challenge them in a way that is going to be more helpful for you and move you towards profitability. We can't stop these thoughts from coming in. We are human. We are living the human experience. So these thoughts do come in and they're very normal, but what we can do is change how we respond to them and not have them influence our trading decisions in an unhelpful way or in a way that leads to inconsistency. And you might find that with practice, the more that you distance yourself from these unhelpful thoughts, or the more that you challenge these unhelpful thoughts by actually looking at the facts and the evidence, you might find that these thoughts become less prominent and the impact of them is less and they just bother you less. So, the first common unhelpful thinking habit is having a mental filter. So this is where we only see the negative evidence while ignoring any positives. So for example, this might be thinking that the loss proves that you can't trade and you obsess over that losing trade and forget that you've been consistently profitable this month. Now, because we know thoughts are not facts and they can be challenged, a helpful alternative to this mental filter would be to say to yourself, this was one losing trade. I followed my plan well overall. Losses are part of the game. The next unhelpful thinking habit is judgments. So this is where you make evaluative statements instead of objective observations. So an example of this could be saying, I'm a terrible trader after getting stopped out, rather than saying this trade didn't work out this time. I made an error today, but that doesn't define me as a trader. I can learn from it. The next one is predictions. So this is very prominent, and I think this is something I can relate to a lot. So this is believing you know the future. So in trading, this is thinking the market will definitely reverse here. So really believing you know where price is going, and this can lead to overconfidence or over leveraging. An alternative thought to this is saying to yourself, I can't predict, I can only prepare. My stop and take profit levels are set. The next unhelpful thinking habit is emotional reasoning. So this is where you assume that feelings equals truth. So, for example, you might feel nervous, so you think this trade must be wrong. An alternative thought would be feeling nervous is normal. It's risk. I'll rely on my strategy, not my feelings. Another unhelpful thinking habit is mind reading. So this is where we assume we know what other people are thinking, when actually that thought was something that went through our own mind. So an example of this is maybe thinking other traders think I'm stupid for holding this position, especially if you're documenting your trades online. An alternative, more helpful thought to this would be I am being transparent and honest, and what matters is that I followed my plan. The next one is mountains and molehills. So that is where we exaggerate negatives and minimize positives. So for example, you might see one loss as catastrophic while downplaying weeks of gains. An alternative way of viewing this is saying it's just one trade out of hundreds that I'll take this year. Another unhelpful thinking habit, which is particularly pertinent in the age of social media, but is compare and despair. So that is where you compare yourself negatively to other people whilst seeing the positives in them, and that leads to you feeling inadequate. Everyone on Twitter or everyone online is making more money than me. An alternative reframe to this could be social media shows highlights. My only competition is yesterday's version of me. The next one is catastrophizing, and I can definitely relate to this. So this is where you think worst case scenario all the time. So an example of this is if I take this trade and lose, I'll blow my account and I'll never make it. So you can see you literally think worst case scenario. It goes from thinking that you'll take a loss to you're never going to make it. An alternative reframe to this catastrophic thought is I have strict risk management. Even a loss is just a small percentage of my account. The next one is critical self. So this is where you are very harsh towards yourself and you blame yourself unfairly. So for example, it might be thoughts such as I always mess up, I'm not cut out for trading. An alternative, more balanced reframe to this could be I make mistakes, but I'm improving. This is part of becoming consistent. The next unhelpful thinking style is black and white thinking or all or nothing thinking. An example of this is if I lose this trade, I'm a bad trader. If I win, I'm good. And an alternative, more helpful way of viewing this is trading isn't good or bad. It's about probabilities and managing risk. And coming towards the end, the next one is shoulds and musts. So this is where we think or say statements that start with I should or shouldn't or I must. An example of this could be I must make £500 a day or I failed. An alternative to this could be I focus on executing my edge. Profits will come as a byproduct. So really forcing yourself to focus on the process to the money. And the last one, the last unhelpful thinking habit we can have is memories. So this is where old experiences lead to fear in the here and now. So for example, after a big loss months ago, every similar setup triggers anxiety, even if the risk is controlled. An alternative reframe can be saying to yourself, each trade is independent. Past losses don't predict future ones. So that is a list of common unhelpful thinking habits that we have as humans. And then they've been tailored specifically to apply to us as traders. So go through that list, have a look and think to yourself, which ones do I find myself engaging in repeatedly? Then once you have that awareness, which is the first step, whenever you find yourself feeling a level of distress or a particular shift in your emotions, for example, suddenly feeling panic, stressed, nervous, you can ask yourself, what is going through my mind? Once you've identified the thought, I then want you to put a label on it. Say to yourself, oh, I'm catastrophizing, or there goes that mental filter, or there goes that critical self. Really labeling what's going on in your mind helps to create distance between you and the thought. That then allows you to respond to the thought as opposed to reacting automatically. You responding to the thoughts gives you choice. It gives you choice over your next trading decision. It gives you space to choose your trading plan as opposed to your emotions. Give this a go. Let me know in the comments as well which thoughts you identify with the most, which unhelpful thinking patterns are relatable to you. That would be helpful for other people to share as well and to see. Also, I'm happy to offer a reframe for you as well if you want to share your thoughts in the comments.